things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go. Happy Think Tank Thursday. This is how we do things around here on a Thursday. Hour 1, we look local. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest, a hot topic, or a combination of both. Today, we're looking at the issue of what they call less lethal weapons, less lethal weaponry. We hear from law enforcement all the time. This is what they're using at protests. Well, we will have attorney Carl Douglas with me in studio to discuss that. He just won a huge settlement from the county because of the so-called less lethal weaponry. So we'll find out where we are in terms of policy, get the details on that case. And you, as you are every hour, are invited to join at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. That is the number to call, no matter where you're calling from. And you can also, of course, join the conversation on YouTube. In the comments section is where the KBLA delegation is, youtube.com, KBLA 1580. And, I love to see you there. Always love to see you there. Please like and subscribe and follow and post post a little something. Love to hear from you there and everywhere. When you follow us on socials, it actually makes us stronger and helps us to stay in business. So follow, like, subscribe every single where. And of course, I'm at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. And Miles is back. Woohoo! Welcome back, Miles.
What's up, baby? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm not going to lie. I did go out last night, so I'm a tiny bit tired. But I'm good. How are you?
I feel charged up. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I was taking over the world. How was the tour?
The world was good. Got to see the world. Went to Atlanta. Tapped in with InvestFest this weekend. That was really kind of it leaves you speechless once you see that type of level of, black futurism and black money kind of come together. It was all that.
Yeah. Yay. Well, I'm glad to have you home. Andy did a great job, but we know that you got to keep expanding as an artist and as an entrepreneur. So good for you on that. We went and saw Babyface and Charlie Wilson.
Was last night?
Yeah, that was last night. It was really good.
Okay, you had fun, huh?
Yeah, we had maybe too much fun. But it was at the Hollywood Bowl, which is one of my favorite places because it's outside. It was packed. And I love Babyface. I'm a Babyface fan. Oh, and Jodeci. Did I forget that?
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Did I forget that? And they sounded really good, actually. Everybody sounded amazing. I like Hollywood Bowl because it's outside. It was packed. And I feel like there were more celebrities per square inch than you usually see at a show.
Okay.
Including Tavis Smiley. We ran into him.
Tavis popped up. Okay.
Tavis was there. Anthony Anderson. The list would be long. I saw so many celebs that it was just wild. I guess certain artists can bring out everybody. But I also had the feeling like one of the reasons that happens right now is because people are in need of inspiration, encouragement, creative, connection, because of what's happening politically. So it was really nice. People were having a good old time. And I just forget how many songs Babyface has written, everything.
Did a long show?
Yeah, it was like 3 hours.
Okay.
But it went by quick because there's so many hits. I mean, you didn't get bored.
Okay, good. Okay, because I know sometimes these shows can have those, those filler moments where it takes forever, switch the bands out type stuff, and you add hours on top of hours. But yeah, if you're saying you weren't bored, you was entertained the whole time. That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, we weren't bored. I think, the Hollywood Bowl too. You can bring your food, and so when they're switching bands, you're eating and stuff. It was really fun. And shout out to all the artists, just really showing up and putting on a great spectacle. And Babyface got these young dudes singing with him that are, fire.
Yeah. I haven't seen, I've seen everybody. I haven't seen Charlie Wilson live, though.
Oh, man. I love me some Uncle Charlie. His voice, chef's kiss. His voice sounds the same. That's the same to me with Stevie Wonder was there too.
Okay.
I didn't get to talk to him, but I saw he walked right by us. A lot of people, a lot of stars. So, and that's always a tribute, when the classic guys play. It's also a time when the stars come out. So yeah, good times.
Is there any surprise guests?
No surprise guests.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess Jodeci, because we were expecting just Casey, and we got all of Jodeci.
Well, good, okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of a surprise. But they didn't bring out anybody other than that. I think everybody was in the seats enjoying the show.
I mean, is Casey really an actor by himself if he's not Casey and JoJo, if it's not Jodeci, if it's not...
I mean, that's what some of my girls were saying. But to me, yeah, because they're still his songs. Even if the whole group isn't there, they're still his hits. You don't think so? I think artists do that all the time. They tour with one part of a duet, or they're, look at Tony. Even before Dwayne passed, there were like 2 Tonys touring.
Right. I get you, and you're right,
and
but
17
I don't think
of the Temptation. How many Temptations groups are touring?
Right, but I don't think we get the same level of entertainment though if it was just one person. When you have these, I don't know, but these mega groups doing these, mega group hit songs. It's not like, I wouldn't say Casey has too many songs that I know of his own that he can sing that'll be
Yeah,
hit.
no, but he can sing the portfolio. He can sing Casey and JoJo. He can sing Jodeci. I mean, those are his legit hits.
Right.
I think. I don't take that away from an artist. That's that's how a lot of them make a living, as they advance in years, and everybody sounded amazing.
Good.
I remember a long time ago when I used to be one of the sidekicks on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. We interviewed Casey and JoJo, and it was about 6 or 7 in the morning because it was morning drive radio, and they were plastered. I mean, so drunk. And you interview artists, sometimes they're in whatever space they're in. This was not like normal. This was so, like, even Steve was like, what do we do? So it's great. I love to see artists, when they reinvent, refresh, and just, killing the game. And that was a really nice surprise.
Yeah, I love seeing and hearing that everybody's instrument is still working, you know what I mean? Because I've seen a lot of people over the years, even now, you know what I mean, the younger generation of artists, their voices are gone earlier and earlier and earlier. So yeah, to hear everybody still sounding good and strong, that's what's up.
Yeah, well, I know I've seen that too, and it's so disappointing when you go to a show and the person, even though you still love them, they can't sing the songs, or their voice is mostly gone, with, like Whitney toward the end of her life. It's just really, really sad. But then you see people like Stevie Wonder who sound the same, but I know from working with him for 17, 18 years that he takes care of his voice. He's always drinking tea. He's got lozenges. He's got herbs for this and herbs for that. He don't smoke. Like he takes care of that gift that God gave him.
Yeah.
And other people are a little more reckless. You see the drug use and stuff. And that's one of the great things about Charlie Wilson's story. You know, he's had cancer, which he's a survivor. He's in remission, and all those years of drug use, and he still has his voice. So that's actually kind of like a miracle if you think about it. So yeah, good times. And Paul says he's surprised I'm here because I was up late. You know what? I'd be up late sometimes. I'm ride or die for the KBLA delegation. If I'm not here, that means I'm either sick or I somehow got a vacation. Rain or shine, sleep or no sleep, I'm here. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. If you want to say a thing about a thing. And as usual, lots of stuff going on. I didn't realize that Julio Cesar Chavez, the boxer, this is junior, not senior, for those of you who are boxing fans like I am. Not as much as I used to follow it, but still love boxing. Was deported. They sent him back to Mexico. And they say that he is cooperating or doing deals with drug cartels. So finally, the Trump administration deports someone who is wanted for cartel crimes in Mexico. Finally, they found someone that they could actually call a criminal. They sent him to a prison in the northern state of Sonora. And much like Ugandan and Salvadorian prisons, something tells me a prison in Sonora is not probably where you want to be. But he had a warrant in Mexico for arms and drug trafficking. And this is the son of Julio Cesar Chavez, the boxing great, who's also a boxer, but I guess he kind of is off and on with his stuff. Anyway, he was wanted for drunk driving in L.A. He did some jail time for that. I guess then he was arrested on gun charges. Then he had a list of crimes. But, I've been critical because I feel like they're arresting car wash workers. And I went to Home Depot yesterday to get a few things, and there were no workers. Like, when you go to Home Depot, there's always dudes waiting around the driveway, waiting for day laborers, waiting for work. There was not one single person there, and the Home Depot was so empty. There's a line and you can't get anyone to help you with anything. Nope. Everybody was trying to help me. I had so many people trying to help me, and there were no people in that store. Just a reminder of the unintended consequences of taking people whose crime is maybe crossing the border, if even that, who are just working and doing their thing in society. There's a price that these corporations and we as a society pay when we just decide to randomly and indiscriminately just deport people or scare them into hiding. 800-920-1580, that's the number to call if you want to say a thing about a thing. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA, Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Ready to order.
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now. It's something we haven't talked about at all, and I don't know that there's a whole bunch of conversation to be had about it, but reminded me a little bit of the conversations I used to have with the late, great Paul Mooney, which is this situation with Lil Nas X, where he was found, reported to police or whatever, wandering down the street. First, it was reported in his underwear because they have footage of that. And then it turned out at one point he was butt naked. Now they're saying he charged at the cops and he could be facing up to 5 years in jail because they're saying battery with injury on a police officer and resisting an executive officer. The reason I say it reminds me of Paul Mooney is because I remember when celebs, black men particularly, will have these sort of, you don't know what it is, a mental health break, or if they're doing a stunt because they're trying to get publicity. I doubt that if he's facing these kind of charges, or if they're having a mental health breakdown. And Paul would always talk about the illusion of inclusion and how that fame, that kind of celebrity, and all of the weirdness that it comes with creates this illusion of inclusion where you think you can do and say anything in Hollywood, and then you F around and find out that you are actually still black in America. I don't know the exact situation. I don't know the details, but I know we've seen this with other artists when they get to a certain level of crossover, especially success, where they kind of snap and something happens, and the best of them bounce back, right? I hope that he doesn't end up in jail. The other thing, prison, I guess it would be. The other thing that I don't like about this story is people getting into, well, it's because he's gay, or it's because he made videos that were very explicit. If it was for explicit videos and or behavior, then a lot of artists would be in jail, right? I mean, or would be walking down the streets in their underwear. Like that, I hate that just the same way I hate it when a natural disaster hits somewhere, an earthquake, a flood, a storm, and people say, oh, it's because it's Babylon, or it's because the people are sinful. Well, if that was the case, everywhere would be hit by a storm and a tornado and an earthquake and a fire, because everywhere has people that are so-called sinful. Like, if God is going to take care of people's sins by wiping out everyone, the sinners and the innocent, then there would be no people left, because there's people that live afoul of your spiritual laws everywhere. So I just don't like that. It feels like hate to me, and I wish the guy, I wish him well. Hope he does okay. So, Miles and I were talking about Think Tank Thursday a little bit during News, Traffic, and Sports. And the current thinking is to throw something at you guys being the KBLA delegation, you and me and Miles, you and your friend and me and Miles. And from time to time, we'll have scholars weighing in as well on something that needs our brain power. When we do Talking Point Tuesday, we tend to focus on things that kind of might have slipped by us, right? They're propaganda points. They are things that folks are saying over and over again without really focusing on how it serves or does not serve our community or even their personal interests. When we talk about think tank, we're talking about putting the collective brain power of the KBLA delegation to work on a topic of importance, a topic of interest. And so you're welcome to call in now or next hour on this. We will leave Attorney Carl Douglas to talk about his topic, which is the non-lethal weaponry. But of course, we are the last couple days, along with today, we are in the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina and the incredible havoc that it really wreaked on not just New Orleans, but Black America in a way, because people from there went to their family. They migrated all over this country. Some are still there, and so I don't, I heard Tavis's show, and they're talking about how they've bounced back, and I've heard other reports saying that, but there are parts of New Orleans that never, ever came back, right? And probably won't. And this has been 20 years. I know it doesn't seem like 20 years, but it's been 20 years. And we're in a point in America where we're talking about, where the president is actually talking about dismantling FEMA, right? And even though FEMA stumbled that disaster, they also did things that were necessary and important and continue to. So what can we learn from Hurricane Katrina that we can benefit from now? And how do we deal with that kind of a situation 20 years later in this environment? And the reason I say that, maybe it won't be exactly Katrina, but we saw the LA fires. We see the increasing number of storms because of the climate emergency. And so it feels like 20 years later, a disaster of the magnitude of a Katrina is much more likely now, right? Much more likely now, and perhaps we are less prepared in some ways. In some ways, maybe we're more prepared. I don't know. Personally, I probably am more prepared. As a country, less prepared. What lessons can we learn, and what have we done? What are we doing that makes us more prepared? And how do we counteract what we're dealing with now, which is this idea that states should be on their own, cities should be on their own, that the help from the federal government is optional even though our tax dollars fund them, that it's optional. Let's go to Michael calling us from Kansas City. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call. Yesterday on BIN News, I heard a report that students and alumni at the University of Cincinnati formed a foundation because the state of Ohio has a new law where you can't have DEI programs or in culture programs. But they formed rather than just saying, okay, well, we're not going to do this anymore, they formed a foundation to collect funds to fund their program. In Missouri, where I'm in Kansas City, in Missouri, the state's done the same thing. There's been a block party that the Black Student Union at Mizzou wanted to have. And this has been reported earlier this week. So what I did was went to that story and sent that to the student newspaper at Mizzou. And then there's also a group that's called the HBCU Walking the Billboard in Kansas City.
Okay, Michael, hold that thought. We've got a hard stop for news, traffic, and sports, but this is interesting. It's like, how do you do your own DEI when they're trying to pretend it's illegal? It's another good thought to put into the group for Think Tank Thursday, KBLA, Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says federal agents aren't helping, but admits Trump's law enforcement surge has cut crime.
We know that we have had fewer gun crimes, fewer homicides, and we have experienced an extreme reduction in carjackings.
She criticized masked ICE and National Guard troops, saying residents are living in fear. A Black couple from Las Vegas has launched Coco Classroom, a Black-owned AI-powered homeschooling platform. Michael Roebuck and Regina Snape Roebuck say it helps parents create personalized lessons with no teaching degree required. And a New York judge has dismissed a sexual assault lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs filed in New York by a California man, ruling the 2015 claim was filed too late. Combs still faces dozens of other cases and awaits sentencing on prostitution charges. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the U.S. Open Wednesday night, Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia learned a very valuable lesson. Do not mess with a sister from Chicago. Taylor Townsend, a 29-year-old African-American, was pretty much an unknown tennis player before beating Ostapenko in straight sets 7-5 and 6-1. When the players shook hands, Ostapenko told Townsend she had no class and no education. Ostapenko claimed Townsend was disrespectful for not apologizing for a point when Townsend's shot bounced off the net. Ostapenko said Townsend violated a rule in tennis by not apologizing. There is no such rule in tennis, even from an etiquette standpoint, where a player has to apologize for scoring a point. Townsend stayed in Ostapenko's face during the heated handshake and let her know she's a strong black woman. Townsend moves on to the third round Friday to play Myra Andreeva of Russia. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready?
Drop it!
Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. Know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilmember Curran Price, inviting you to the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got 4 pavilions, 3 stages of live music, plus food, fun, and a marketplace all along historic Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Ave. Our featured acts this year are Gregory Porter, Pancho Sanchez, and Jasmine Horn at the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September 20th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. along Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Avenue. Come out and bring the whole family because this legendary celebration is free. For more information, go to centralavjazzfest.com. I'm LA Councilmember Curran Price, and I absolutely approve this message.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a forliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 15.
You gotta dip your chicken strips. Hey, this is Kiani.
And this is Tabitha.
And a little thing we love about Chick-fil-A chicken strips
is all the different sauces we can dip them in. I like to line up all my favorite sauces so that in every bite, I have a different flavor. Then with the tenderness of the chicken, the juiciness of it, it's all there.
And for me, I like to mix my sauces so I get a little tang and I get a little sweetness all in one bite.
That's what makes it for me. That's what does it for me.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the summer of Chick-fil-A chicken strips and sauces. Order now on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. Michael called from Kansas City. You can do the same. He called me at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. My question for Think Tank Thursday was, let's put on our thinking caps, as they used to say, and figure out what lessons we can learn from Katrina, which was 20 years ago, the last couple days. But Michael's posing another question here, which is about how we take care of programs which would or could fall under DEI, which even though it's not illegal, it's de facto illegal because the Trump administration has made it clear they will punish companies and institutions that use anything they call DEI, so basically anything that would help black people is what we're really talking about, that they will punish those institutions, so folks are afraid to do it even though technically it's not illegal. And you were talking about Cincinnati, students there forming a foundation, saying that you've done the same thing in Missouri, and then we went into news, traffic, and sports. So where were you going with that, Michael?
Well, the idea is that one organization has taken a proactive approach to just not surrendering.
Right.
So, they at University of Cincinnati, they formed a foundation to collect funds to fund programs that their student activity fees had paid for in the past, rather than just walking away from it. That's in Cincinnati. We haven't actually done that in Missouri, but in Missouri, the state has outlawed these programs. So what I did was took the article, sent it to the student newspaper at Mizzou, and then shared it with there's an HBCU network group here in Kansas City. My point is that if we see somebody that's taking action, let's replicate that we just don't back down. So that's the point that I was. So if you see some in other areas, if somebody sees something, this came from BIN News. I hadn't heard that UC had done this. I'm from Cincinnati. Hadn't heard that UC had done this. So I took what I heard on your program from BIN News and shared that with others. That's the point I want to make. If we see something, let's spread the word. So that's my point.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, and I think it's a point that applies to a lot of stuff right now. I remember my friend, the late Dr. Mabel John. She was a Motown artist, an author, a pastor who used to feed people all the time and give away clothing, food, whatever people needed. She always said we're the safety net, and she would refer back to the Great Depression because she was, chronologically gifted. When I was her friend, she was in her 90s and 80s when I was her friend. May she rest in peace. But she always said back then we didn't have all of these safety net features. We didn't have the well-developed welfare and different safety net programs that we have now, or that we had now before Trump. And so we were forced to be there for each other. And the DIY part of what you're saying was, okay, if they are going to defund our programs, how do we pivot and make sure that we don't just give up? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So thanks for taking my call.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. And I think that's important. It's going to be about DIY, but the challenge is that we don't have billions, right? I mean, you can fund your school recovery. You can recover from your school funding cuts by going to foundations, going to community, doing a bake sale, whatever you got to do. If you're talking about rebuilding an entire city, like New Orleans, it may not be that simple. But I'm interested in hearing what you think, what we've learned, what we should learn, and what we can do about it. When you talk about Katrina, it's easy to forget. When you look at the total death toll across all of the Gulf Coast, 1,800 people died as a result of Katrina. And the government, our government, the federal government, remember them? They put aside tens of billions of dollars to rebuild, $140 billion to be exact. And actually it was the biggest domestic recovery fund ever set aside in U.S. history. So why didn't it fully bounce back? The New York Times says it's because we're not good at long-term recovery. And I mean, I'm from the Bay. I grew up in San Francisco. San Francisco was destroyed. Almost a huge part of the city was destroyed by an earthquake, and then the subsequent fire. But it was rebuilt. So does that mean we've gotten worse at it? Because San Francisco was rebuilt beautifully. And what happens if we have a Katrina-level disaster today with no FEMA at all? It's hard to have a bake sale for $140 billion. But it is true that New Orleans, although it still attracts people from all over the world, is smaller. It did. Katrina changed it. I get that we don't want to write it off and we don't want to add to the problem, but the fact of the matter is, it is different. And the gap between rich and poor grew bigger as a result of that. The middle class hasn't bounced back the way that we had hoped. The tourism industry is not back to where it was 20 years later. So what happens? What happens to all that money? Does it get sucked into bureaucracy? Does it go, out the door while we deal with this maze of regulations? Apparently, a lot of it went to consultants, government consultants, instead of going to schools and the transit authority and the folks that really are tasked with bouncing back. And so it's also reminding me a lot of the houselessness crisis here in LA, because you have billions that are designated, and then you don't have the transparency about what is happening to those dollars. Now, we know that it would be a lot worse if we didn't have those billions. There would be even more people living on the streets in tents or under freeways. But are we getting the bang for the buck? And I think that the truth in New Orleans is no. One company alone got $1 billion to consult and oversee something called Road Home, which is a program that was meant to rebuild houses that apparently was a disaster. So, one of the things, and we're watching this on, of course, a much smaller scale, we're watching this play out in Altadena, right? As James Farr stated on this show on Monday, that only 2 families, as far as he knows, have put a shovel in the ground to start rebuilding. 2 black families there. And then if the whole idea is just try to replicate what was lost, can you even do that? Do you need to build something that can withstand a fire or withstand a flood or something new and improved? One of the things we know about Katrina is that they spent a lot of money on neighborhoods that were below sea level instead of trying to reimagine how they would build the city in a way that could withstand not just what's happened in the past, but what's coming in the future. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. That is the number to call. Love to use your brain on this Think Tank Thursday. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that hits black families hardest. 1 in 5 black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and it's not a normal part of aging. Early signs like repeating questions, missed appointments, even trouble handling bills might seem small, but they matter. The good news? There are treatment options available that may slow AD when diagnosed early. Don't wait. Visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more. This message is brought to you by AZI.
If you're an African American mom who is pregnant or have a baby under 6 months old, you deserve care that lifts, listens, and lasts. Black Infant Health is for you. It's a free program with individual support, group sessions, and resources to start your mothering journey. BIH makes space for moms and their families to create community. Learn more about the programs in Los Angeles County. Check us out at blackinfanthealth.org.
Dr. Renee here. Did you know this time of year is considered peak asthma season because we typically see a spike in asthma-related hospitalizations? If you have asthma and are having difficulty breathing despite medication, it's time to check in with your doctor so you can help avoid landing yourself in the hospital this season. To learn more about managing your asthma, visit www.luma-edu.com. That's LUMA-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person, and Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. billshappen.com for the cash you need now. billshappen.com.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You are, and I'm glad that you're here. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580 on this Think Tank Thursday. I just, was talking about lessons of Katrina 20 years later and trying to think about how we could do better, especially since we're 20 years deeper into the climate emergency. And most major cities are looking at some version of a Katrina. Obviously, it might not be flooding for your city. It could be fire. It could be a tornado, right? But we are in an era where the climate emergency has escalated to the point where most cities could be facing the kind of destruction. And, we can get into the recovery itself as the storm itself, storm immediate response and the racism there. I mean, I think we've all talked about that quite a bit. We can talk about it some more. How do you undo that? I mean, it's part of what we're facing with Altadena here on the West Coast, right? How do you build equity into recovery? And I feel like it's going to be more difficult now because of this anti-DEI frenzy. But Katrina should teach us some lessons, and we should be applying them to Altadena, because even though obviously it's a much smaller disaster in scope, it's going to be impactful in some of the same kinds of ways in terms of the impact on a middle-class Black community or working-class Black community. New Orleans has 23% fewer folks than it did in 2000 when the storm hit. 37% less Black people. That's a lot of us that never came back, never bounced back. It has high unemployment, slow job growth. It's near the bottom of cities when it comes to gross domestic product per capita. It's the most income unequal big city in America. And that wasn't the case before Hurricane Katrina. 1 in 3 children living in poverty. And when we're talking about Black kids, that's 43% hungry on any given day. This is post-Katrina New Orleans. And it's interesting because if you're you or me, well, I should speak for me, and you're not really tracking day to day to day, you see the ribbon cuttings, you see the tourist areas bounce back and some of the corporations coming back in, and maybe don't notice that libraries didn't reopen, hospitals did not come back, schools went away, and apparently the recovery and some of that recovery money, that 140 billion, was actually used to privatize some things that don't benefit the poor, i.e. New Orleans is now almost entirely charter schools. And the high-performing ones are full of white students, and guess who's at the lower-performing ones? So when we talk about rebuilding Altadena, it's not just how do we put back the same building, how do we put back the image of, it has to be how do we incentivize people being able to come back. Can we do rebuilding bonuses or some kind of support, ongoing support for people who do refuse to sell and decide to do their best to bring back what we loved about Altadena. There are still in New Orleans lots of empty homes where the people left during Katrina 20 years ago and no one ever came back. No one ever could afford to do so. Some of them are still jacked up, streets still jacked up. Of course, we're talking about poorer communities, communities that used to be thriving Black middle class communities, and they're still dealing with a lot of infrastructure problems. Just a normal storm that's not even a Katrina level storm causing flooding and drain systems failing and crazy, crazy rents, like LA level rents, which is weird because they don't have enough people moving back there, but yet the rents are so high. Truth Speaks says maybe Black New Orleans and Altadena needed diversity. Altadena was very diverse. I know that you're one of the Republican voices in the YouTube conversation, but Altadena was very diverse, very, very. That was one of the things that people were touting about it. I think New Orleans is fairly diverse too, maybe not as much so as Altadena. I haven't seen the numbers on that. I have seen numbers on Altadena. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. One of the most diverse places you'd ever find, at least in Southern California. The reason we talk so much about the Black community, aside from the fact that we're one of 5 Black talk stations in this whole country that can do so, is because the middle class and working class components were vibrant. Home ownership was higher than anywhere else in the country for Black people. Not because there was nobody else there, but because the community was strong, vibrant, creative, owned houses. And these are things we want to preserve. These are things we want to replicate. It's not to say there was no one else there. It's to say this was a thriving Black community, along with whoever else was there. And how do we recapture that? And what can we learn from the disaster? And the disaster of Katrina is not just the actual storm itself. It's the fact that the response was racist and lackluster and haphazard. And then the long-term rebuilding was fraught with a lack of oversight, wasted money that FEMA wanted to get back but couldn't get back for stuff like that whole charterization of those schools. And it's not realistic to say that you can just rebuild a house and then the community will bounce back. If you're talking about recovery for an Altadena, you've got to get help, not just building and getting rid of the toxic soil, but how do you, on an ongoing basis, make sure that people have job opportunities, that they have the chance to get back what they lost, in terms of their furnishings, their mental and physical health. How do you pay for folks to relocate? A lot of people have moved out of Altadena. If they are going to move back, whether they're renters or whether they're trying to rebuild, they're going to need help to relocate, child care support, all of these kinds of things that we don't think about. Those are part of recovery. It's not just buildings and streets. It's people. People are what make a place great. That's one of the things that we're talking about when we talk about Altadena. It's people. It's community. Yes, it's thriving Black communities. Yes, it's diverse community, but it all comes down to humans. Any community is made up of humans. And if recovery doesn't include the support, the nurturing, the healing of those humans, then it's not real recovery. It's not sustainable. It's just cosmetic. It's corporate recovery. It's not actual humanitarian bounce back. We've got news, traffic, and sports. Then it's the perfect time to call me, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says federal agents aren't helping, but admits Trump's law enforcement surge has cut crime.
We know that we have had fewer gun crimes, fewer homicides, and we have experienced an extreme reduction in carjackings.
She criticized masked ICE and National Guard troops, saying residents are living in fear. A Black couple from Las Vegas has launched Coco Classroom, a Black-owned AI-powered home